Hey guys, welcome back to another Creative Finance Playbook podcast, and I've got a special treat for you today. This is a recording that we did on one of our live virtual events. We had Tom Krol, the founder of Wholesaling Inc. and now Coaching Inc. come on in and just share so much gold. We loved it so much that we had to make sure that it came up onto our YouTube channel and on all over our platforms for our podcast. So be sure to give this a listen, like and subscribe, and tell me in the comments, do you want to hear more of these? We've got some really great episodes that we've recorded on these live virtual events. And if you need to learn more about where we're having the next one, make sure that you reach out to us, creativefinanceplaybook.com. Enjoy.
I've seen people, you can't judge a book by its cover. I'm telling you, I've seen all different people and they have become successful. And it's because when you make that decision that I am going to do this or I am going to die trying, it's over. It's going to happen. But all of this like preparing and setting up and, thinking about it and sitting in Panera Bread or Starbucks and listening to Joe and Jen's podcast, guys, reward yourself with their education. When they tell you to do something, go and do it. That's it. Just do it and do it and do it and just say, I'm going to do it, or you're going to come into my funeral. And that's it. And I'm telling you, once you make that level of a commitment, you guys are unstoppable. You're so much more handsome, beautiful, powerful, resourceful. I'm telling you, you don't even realize. I was like, for so long, I was like suffering with like paycheck to paycheck. I came home and I got lost my job. She was crying in the bathroom. I'm like, this is crazy. And finally, my mentor was like, are you an idiot? Like, what are you doing?
Rule number 3, don't stop doing what's working.
Bam. Yes, of course. Hey, how's it going, guys?
Woo! We have a full house here, and we even have some of your OG clients, community members in here. So we're super, super pumped that you're coming to spill some of the knowledge, the organic, all of the goodness that Tom Krol just brings.
That's awesome. Well, thank you for having me. I'm so honored to be here. I'm a big fan of you guys, and this is going to be a great adventure. And yeah, rule number 3, tried and true, never stop doing what works. I love it. I'll ring the victory bell for that. Yeah, that one is a gold one. And sometimes even my clients who come in, there's Joe. Hey, how are you, brother? Good to see you. Good to see you. It's funny, even sometimes my clients who come in and they're paying me, they're in real estate and they're struggling and sometimes it's a roller coaster and they'll pay me 5-6 figures to come in, and I'll just look at what they did last year and I'll say, well, how come you're not doing that anymore? And they'll say, Tom, you're a genius. So yeah, never stop doing what works is 110% tried and true, just like all the old ancient principles, right? I think that's what's so important here is that everything that is good and honest and wholesome and reduces your suffering and makes business fun and makes it where you just have to make small moves and you have exponential or compound success. All of those rules and principles are old. All the good stuff is old. And that's what those principles are all about. And I'm happy to go through them if that's what you guys would like to do. But either way, I'm here for you guys.
Oh my gosh. Well, we were talking all about organic leads, and I can't think of a better person who is on the same page as we are with no funnels, no tunnels, no CRMs, none of that craziness, no spending money on marketing until you actually get some organic leads flowing. So I really would love to just have you share your wealth of knowledge a little bit on that, and we'll go from there.
Well, first of all, I think, and it all will break down into rules, but here's what I would say. When you guys are looking at your marketing, right? What is marketing? Marketing is something that you do in order to get somebody to kind of reach back out to you. And organic is the way to go. Even for my clients who are doing big numbers, over 10 million, I will assure you guys that once their marketing tends to fall off organically, the paid ads just drop. So here are some of the secrets, right? Number 1, first and foremost, how do you start your day? Revenue in first position. It is so comfortable, right? So I've had over 5,000 students who, right there, and right away when someone is going to be successful in this business because they'll call you and they'll say, Tom, I did everything you said to do, and then I went to a seller's house and I didn't have a piece of paper, or a seller called me, so I just wrote it on a piece of paper, and will this work? And I'm like, no, you got to go to a title company. So Premature, massive, imperfect action is the key. And that only happens when you start your day with revenue. Essentially, if you're just starting, your day starts with all of the things that produce revenue first, and then you work on fulfillment and, like Jen just said, KPIs, right? Key performance indicators. That comes at the end of the day. So start your day, revenue in first position. I cannot stress this enough. Every single entrepreneur and owner who struggles and suffers and causes suffering for their clients, their team, their community, their family, their loved ones, all of those entrepreneurs, what they do is they do what feels good in their belly. And what feels good in their belly is designing a logo or designing a website or creating a funnel, right? Or yeah, all of us, right? We've all been there. We're all guilty, but sometimes we need somebody to just say, hey guys, hold on. Let's do the uncomfortable thing first, right? Let's do the thing that we don't really want to do, but that we know is going to get the biggest outcome. So I am anybody who's on this right now, as soon as this is over, even if you only have 40% of the information and instruction from Joe and Jen, take massive and perfect action. Adopt an attitude. Guys, I'm going to slow down because I go so fast. I assure you that this works. Adopt an attitude in your life right now of something called progress, not perfection. It will never be 100% right, even if you are preparing and preparing and preparing. My son is in medical school, right? And I guarantee you that his first patient is never going to be treated in the best way as his 100th patient, because Albert Einstein teaches us that all education and knowledge comes from experience. So the system that you're in right now with Joe and Jen, here's what you guys want to know. Their instruction, this is the equation of coaching. Their instruction plus your massive imperfect action will equal a result which equals your education. What a lot of people do is they accidentally put the obligation of education onto the coach. This is a huge mistake. My mentors taught me that early on. Thank goodness I had the right people, Robert Kiyosaki and some of the best people in the country who were pouring into me when I started, and they understood that all the heavy lifting was on me, right? They gave me the instruction, right? They gave me the clarity. I took the action, I got the result, and that's how I learned. I didn't learn from preparing. Does that make sense to everybody, right? Because if anybody doesn't understand that, that's a huge game changer. But if
Bam
you
in
got
the comments, you get it. Bam in the comments.
bam, I love it. Yeah, that's the key. So first and foremost, revenue in first position. And by the way, if anybody's saying, well, yeah, but I want a lifestyle business. Guys, here's the secret, right? Hustle is a season. It's not a lifestyle. If you want to have a lifestyle where you own multiple businesses and you get to do what you want with who you want, when you want, where you want, that comes after. But every single person, every man and woman I know of consequence who came before us, all of those men and women had a season of outworking everyone else around them. Don't listen to these new age gurus who talk about do what you love and you'll never work a day in your life. That's pretty true, actually. You do what you love and you are not going to work and get paid a day in your life. I guarantee it. But if you can do what the market loves, and then in that good work, you will find things that you do love, and then you will have a business, and a business is something that's going to serve you by serving other people. So prioritize what the market wants. And when it comes to marketing, because now we're talking about organic marketing, all marketing is, right? Think of marketing. Sometimes marketing can be confusing, right? Because people who are in marketing, they use all of these confusing terms and, right, direct response marketing and ROI and ROAS and KPIs and loss leaders and self-liquidating offers and all this garbage, right? I get to participate in the ownership of multiple companies across all sorts of niches, right? Let me give you a secret tip from 50,000 feet, right? And by the way, guys, if I can do this, right, you can do this, right? I got a 990. I didn't even break 1,000 on my SAT. That's a true story, and it was untimed. So I'm telling you right now, if I can do it, you guys can do it, right? So here's what the secret is. All marketing is, forget all the complication. Marketing is always divided up into 3 buckets, 3 categories. This is for what you're doing right now. and this is generational, right? This is for your kids and your kids' kids and their kids. So if you guys can grasp this, this is going to be a key, because you could come into any situation and immediately know what is wrong or right with marketing in 30 seconds. So marketing, first 3 buckets, right? And the thing to visualize here is visualize if you're downtown, right? So if I take my wife Julie to downtown Stewart and we're walking downtown and there's one of those fancy restaurants, right? And they have the chalkboard sign outside and it says the menu or whatever. That's what marketing is. So the first rule of marketing is you want to get attention, you want to hold attention, and you want to monetize attention. That's what it is. So when you're looking at marketing and you say, well, what's working, what's not working, where is it failing, or where is it going right? Always divide it into 3 categories: get attention, hold attention, monetize attention. So let's think of the chalkboard, right? The first thing about the chalkboard is, are people seeing it, right? Is it in the middle of the sidewalk or is it off to the side? So it should be stopping foot. Like if somebody's tripping over it, it's perfect, right? Until people are tripping over that chalkboard, it's not getting enough attention. So the first question to ask yourself is your marketing getting enough attention? And if it's not, it's the invisible man. What can we do to get it to get attention? Should we move it? Should we make it bigger? Should we change the color, the font, the size, whatever, right? Should it be flashing? But that's the get attention part. Number 2 is hold attention. That's where the messaging comes in, right? If it's the car alarm where it goes off, people look at it and then they go right back to what they were doing, it's not going to work. You've got to hold attention. So when Jen was saying that message before, right? It's super nonchalant. It's very easy. If you have a house in the next 2 or 3 weeks, that's the right message, right? That's like the right there, right? It just lands in and it lands perfectly. It'll keep their attention long enough to, number 3, monetize attention. So whenever you're looking at it, always look at it in with the glasses of, is it a getting attention problem, holding, or monetizing problem? That's where you want to look at it. As far as marketing goes, here's what I can tell you from looking at the P&Ls of tons and tons of companies all the time with my controller. I have to give Tony Counts credit because I don't do this on my own. So here's what I will tell you. Marketing has 9 rules, right? 9 rules of what makes it work and what doesn't make it work. Every single time I go into a real estate company and I see that it's not working, or the investor is not getting enough deals, or the agent's not getting enough, whatever it is, here's what is going right and wrong. Marketing essentially has 9 rules. Number 1 is copied. This is the first rule of marketing. Every single entrepreneur who's ever born, they want to use their entrepreneurial creativity to redo the message from Joe and Jen. No, right? This is not the time. There have been men and women who have come before us. There's nothing new under the sun, and they have spent literally millions and millions of dollars. Dan Kennedy, Bill Glazer, Joe and Jen, and all of these other guys and girls they've split tested and A/B tested and did this and that and tweaked and changed it. So number 1 rule with marketing in any company is don't reinvent the wheel. That's not where you should be putting your time and energy. Go and I used to say steal, but Darren Bentley taught me to say rip off and duplicate. So just rip off other people's. They're all around you. And I'll tell you guys a little secret. When you're copying marketing, a lot of times the best marketing, it comes from outside your industry, right? You don't have to necessarily look in your industry. Sometimes what the guy who sells, home construction or Victory Bells or door hinges, what he's selling is sometimes that marketing is just as good for your industry and it's new and fresh. So rule number 1 is copied. Number 2 is big. Guys, marketing is a numbers game. It is not a skill game. If it was a skill game, I would have been out of this game a long time ago. I have no skill in this stuff, right? This is a needle in a haystack. So, there's this expression, the more shoots you take at the basket, or I don't know anything about sports, but I know there's a basket, right? And the more times you throw the ball, the more times it's going to go in. So number 2 is its volume. When your marketing is small, you are going to have something that is very, very painful, and it's called statistical anomalies. What that means is you do something, whatever it is, billboards, billboards or bandit signs or TV ads or radio ads or Facebook posts or direct mail or cold calling or text messaging or blah, 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 blah. Whatever you do, If it's small, what will happen is you'll say, well, I did this 10 times and I got a deal. And then you'll say, well, if I do it 10 more times, I'll get another deal. Not true, right? But here's what I can tell you. If you do it 10,000 times and you get 50 deals, I guarantee you that if you do it 10,000 times again, you're going to get just about 50 deals again. And this is not my opinion. I see this in the P&Ls of my clients who are spending a lot of time or energy or money on this on large volume. So go big or go home. Number 3 is consistent. Your marketing must be consistent. So I'm going to tell you right now, the biggest problem with owner operators and investors here is that they start doing consistently good marketing. They get some shiny objects and deals and some under contract and some are closing. And then they all of a sudden focus on the deals. And now they drop the ball on the marketing, and then their roller coaster of income, it looks like this, right? And it's painful. And this causes suffering. Guys, here's the thing. We don't get into entrepreneurship to suffer. We do it to get out of suffering, right? If you weren't suffering before you got into this, then it's not a good fit for you and everything is backwards. The definition of success is a good night's sleep, right? Nobody gets into entrepreneurship to be up at 3 o'clock in the morning, riddled with crippling depression and anxiety and fear and all of that, right? So if you want to stop the roller coaster, you got to be consistent no matter what. And if you're like, I'm busy, you're not that busy. Trust me. I work with entrepreneurs all day long and they are not as busy as they say they are. So I'm telling you, you have the time to be consistent on your marketing. So consistency is not, okay. Next rule in marketing, singular. Guys, every single time I would coach someone or my clients would coach someone and they would say, and the investor says, well, and all you guys can test this yourself. Go to somebody who's consistently bringing home $100,000 in their pocket, not just gross, net. Talk to people who net $100K per month in their pocket every single month, right? Ask them, what are you doing to find your motivated sellers? This is what they're going to tell you. Well, I do this one thing really, really well. I know the time, the date, the font, the color, when, where, how, and I've dominated it and I've delegated it. Now I'm looking at another channel and you'll see it's like 1 or 2, 3 at most channels that are delegated and automated. Talk to somebody who's struggling and they're inconsistent with their income. They're making under 100K per month. Say, what are you doing to find your motivated sellers? You know what they're going to say? Well, I want to be everywhere. TikTok, Instagram, Facebook, billboards, bandit signs, cold calling. No. That's not the way the world works. Don't dip your toe in the water. You got to go all in and total immersion like Tony Robbins teaches us, right? So total immersion and then make it work. And here's the thing. If you pick the wrong channel and it doesn't work, you're going to know that in 10 weeks, not in 10 months. That's what's so beautiful about going all in with anything in your life, right? Is you know right away, okay, this works and I'm going to find out right away or it doesn't work. But when you're all over the place, you're scattered. Even if you have a little bit of success, it just doesn't work. So that's next. The next rule in marketing is fast response. Guys, let me just tell you right now, if you get someone to actually respond and then you get excited and you call your sister, brother, mother, friend, whoever, and you're like, you're not going to believe it. I made a post and somebody wrote back and they're going to, and then I have to call Joe and Jen and tell them about it. And what should I say? No. Guys, the minute that somebody raises their hand, grab their hand and bring them onto the dance floor, I am telling you, you have moments. Forget a calendar. You got to prioritize. Guys, remember, there is no such thing as time management. There is only priority management. I don't care what you say. If I want to know what's important to you in your life, all I have to do, especially for the men on this line, all I have to do is I have to look at where did you put your time, your money, and your attention in the last 5 months, and I will know exactly what is most important to you and who's most important to you. So let me just say this, right? When someone raises their hand to come in, go right away and do it imperfectly instead of worrying about getting the right resources, tools, and information to do it perfectly, and go out and do it now. You have moments. The deals that you are going to lose by responding slow are the best deals. Those are the deals. You'll still have people who will talk to you, but it's not the ones that you want. So, and if you don't want to see this in real life, watch the magic. Go to like a Costco or somewhere where, I can't think of the one Julie goes to, but go to one where I saw the guy the other day, he was selling fake diamond bracelets, right? And he did a presentation and the women were standing around with their husbands and they were watching the presentation of this, beautiful diamond bracelet and blah, blah, blah. And I'm watching him do, it was brilliant. This guy was old. He knew what he was doing. And then at the end, you know what he said? He said, well, now guys, here's the deal. I have enough bracelets. I only have 6 applications for 0% financing. He didn't even have to finish his sentence and everybody ran up right then to get the bracelet. Urgency, scarcity. These are the NLP tricks that Tony Robbins teaches us that work in your marketing and in your sales. So fast response is key. The next one in marketing, the next rule in marketing is it must be trackable. Dan Kennedy teaches us there's no such thing as branding, there's only marketing. So trackable means return on investment, dollar in, dollar out. So I should see when you take action with your time, energy, or money that there's some kind of an ROI coming back. No ROI and it's not working, then it's not trackable. It's not a good channel. So you got to stick with it and see an ROI. The next rule in marketing is delegated. I wouldn't hire anyone on this channel except for Abby. I wouldn't hire anybody to do my marketing because all of you guys are entrepreneurs like me. And you know what that tells me? You've got 1,000 ideas a day. You're going 1,000,000 miles an hour. You are literally born to be inconsistent in marketing, right? So the next rule is delegated. As soon as as soon as any of you get to 10K per month, immediately hire a local executive assistant. Here's what you're looking for with an executive assistant to delegate marketing to. All you're looking for is, I'm going to be super inappropriate here, but that's okay. So with your executive assistant, it's got to be, they must have a college degree. It's not a question. No college degree, don't even interview them. I'm telling you right now, do not do it because you probably don't have a college degree. And even if you do, you're still too entrepreneurial. So you need somebody who has, it shows a certain level of intelligence. Number one. And number two is it shows a certain degree of follow through. So executive assistant must have a college degree. Number two, they must be local. All this VA stuff is great. I love it. I have the best VAs in the whole country. Lorena started with me. She had roosters in the background and she was like, there was always a flood. Now she's like the richest person in the Philippines. I love it, right? God bless her. But for this role, somebody local. So college educated, local. Bookkeeping experience is going to be key. And by the way, also local is important because you need to have to do things like check your PO box and do other stuff. They're like your right-hand man. They are going to give you more time to produce revenue. So it's got to be local, college degree, and it's got to be a bookkeeping experience because you're going to need that because all of you guys think at bookkeeping. Trust me, you all stink at bookkeeping. None of you should be doing your own bookkeeping, and you're going to have to eventually do that. So you're going to need that anyway. The other thing that I would say about this is I'm not going to make a recommendation, but if you took the 250 most successful, wealthy, and influential businesses and owners that I work with, 100% their EA is female instead of male. So I will leave that with you guys. You could take it however you want. I'm just telling you a fact for me personally. I'm not making a recommendation. And then the last thing I will do is I'll say about the EA is kind of interview them, wind it down to like 2 or 3 people. And then if you are married or in a serious relationship or have a partner or fiance, let your spouse do the final interview because you're an entrepreneur, which means I know you think you're a good judge of character, but you're probably not because you're either too salty or you fall in love with people too fast. So have your spouse do the final interview, and it's just appropriate because you might be spending a little time with that person and your wife is a better judge of character than you are or your husband is. So I know it sounds crazy, but I've been doing this for long enough. And if anybody wants to disagree, that's fine. But I've been doing this long enough to have the authority to say that. So these are the rules of marketing. The next one that you want to focus on is it must be split tested. So something that is really important with masters of marketing is always be running an A/B split test, right? So if you have a purple background, try a green one at some point and split test it, right? If you have one message, here's the key with A/B split testing, guys, and this will serve you for the rest of your life in any business you're in, because you could always be constantly tweaking and improving your marketing, is when you're A/B split testing, only change one thing.
Mm.
Does everybody understand that, right? If you change two or more things, it's no longer an A/B split test, right? So if you say I'm going to change the background and the message, it's everything's out the window, because the problem is now you're going to be running a test where you have to pick one or the other, and that's not a good place to be. You want to pivot one slightly. You want small moves, right? One little tiny move at a time. So does that kind of make sense to everybody? And I go so fast. Does anybody? I don't want to. Does anybody have questions, comments, concerns, wins, losses, frustration? I mean, is this all?
You're awesome. No, you guys could drop questions down. So, real quick, when he was talking about Lorena, she's a virtual assistant, a VA. And what Tom's talking about is an EA, an executive assistant. So, you want someone who is in person to do some of these tasks that you can really let go of in person. But VAs are great, they are useful. But he's saying for this particular hire, an executive assistant should be in person.
Well, and Tom, don't get me wrong. We did warn them to drink their coffee before you hopped on. I was like, this is going to be action packed, but and I love the point of like rule number 3, don't stop doing what works. And with marketing, I got to tell you how many times people see our blue post. They see it, and I'm guilty of it myself. I would find something that works and I would change it. I'm like, well, man, this is really working. Let me change this, right? And then I wouldn't get the same results. So I notice when somebody gets into our coaching group, I'm like, just use this blue ad and do it just this way.
Right.
And then they come back, and after a week or two, they say, Joe, it doesn't work. I'm like, okay, well, let me see what you did. Can you tag me on some of these posts? And what do? They change the color. They change the message completely.
Right.
And then I'm like, well, do you see the difference here? And then once we go back to what worked, their heads explode. They're like, oh my gosh, we had one of the ladies in our group last week just say how she had 336 comments last week from just using what worked. And I'm like, well,
Beautiful.
you were struggling for 2 weeks. What was the change? She's like, I just did what you said and I stopped changing it. So this just brings your point back 110%, is just stick to what's working.
Yeah, and you see this, guys. This is not like satirical. This is evidence based. You see this again and again and again and again. I mean, they're on the really good rules of life and business, on the principles, right? Like, don't change what works. The reason that these are principles is because they're following 2 rules. The first rule of a principle is that it always works in every, and this is for, now we're talking business, right? So for me, we have 88 I have 88 principles, right? The thing that is true about all 88 of these principles is that they are always true. This is not like the grass isn't always greener on the other side. Yes, it is, right? I know that the grass is absolutely greener on the other side in some cases, and in other cases, it's not. And you should water where you should bloom where you grow, where you are. And then in other cases, the grass is greenest over the septic tank. So let me say this, right? There are rules where they are not always applicable, and they're confusing, right? Look before you leap is not a rule to follow 100% of the time, or you could end up in having a lot of problems, right? Good principles, solid principles are ancient. There's not a dissenting opinion. Rule number 8 is read 8 pages a day, right? I can tell you guys right now, everybody says, I want to be rich, I want to be wealthy, I want to be successful. Are you reading, or are you saying, my teacher told me when I was a kid, I was a visual learner, so I listened to Audible, but it's the same, and I just say I read a book, but I listened to it. Guys, 100%. I could show you text messages, Brent Daniels, Joe McCall, you name the coach. I can tell you all of them are readers. Name the coach, and I will tell you the book they're reading right now. Here's the book I'm reading right now. This is from Agora Financial right here. This is my favorite book of all time. I've read it, I don't even know, probably 300 times. Everybody should read this book. How do I scale my business? Guys, Michael Gerber has taught us how to scale a business. Ordinary people, extraordinary results. Every single page of this book is liquid gold. 8 pages a day, and all of the principles are like that. They're old, they're ancient, they work now, they work tomorrow. And guys, this is what generational wealth is. As you're going through this transformation right now with Joe and Jen, this is generational wealth. What they're pouring into you right now, generational wealth. Guys, let me take a break from this to say this, right? Because there's so many differences between poor people and wealthy people. The poor people save, rich people invest. Poor people, they buy and sell. Rich people buy and hold, or buy and trade up. Poor people, they decide what they can afford based on how much their monthly income is. Rich people, they decide what they're going to buy based on how much their monthly income is and their net worth. One of the biggest differences here is that when you are, generational wealth, poor people, how much cash can I leave my kids? I have never met a person with a net worth over 10 million who asked that question. This is a poor person's mentality. Rich people, generational wealth, I got to take my kids on Saturday to a garage sale to have them negotiate the price of a toy and sell them on eBay. Generational wealth, guys, by the time we all die, God willing, our kids are going to be in their 40s and 50s. If they haven't made it financially by then, the worst thing that you could possibly do is leave them money. Generational wealth is character. It's impulse control. It's the ability to handle different situations. It's when they see you reading a book, that's generational wealth. And I know this is kind of like 50,000 foot view, but this is what you're learning, with Joe and Jen. So I just want to encourage you guys that on these rules and on all of these tactics that they're giving you, there's undercurrents, guys. Listen to the way people who are struggling, right? Listen to how they talk. They're always concerned with the waves on the surface. Wealthy people don't do that. They're prophetic, right? They're clairvoyant. They're watching the undercurrent under the noisy waves, right? Under the noisy waves. So don't pay attention to the noisy waves. That's just meant to distract you. You want to get to the undercurrent of all of these tips and tricks and strategies that Joe and Jen are giving you. So that's just some of them. And yeah, and the last rule, the ninth rule on marketing is double checked. Just make sure that it's double checked, because I can tell you story after story of people who let it go. But yeah, those are some of the organic principles that just literally everyone's looking for secrets. There's no secrets. These are the secrets. It's easy.
Well, I got to ask you, because I think you were the one that brought this up. If I said that I'm going to kidnap your kid,
right,
if you don't get a deal done,
right,
what is it that you're going to do?
Yeah, I mean, this is what I would say is probably the most paramount, or this is the differential, right? I remember, and I've heard this so many times, Rachel Ray never went to culinary school, outworked everyone around her. She wanted it, right? Now, then she struck a deal with Oprah Winfrey, and now she just finished building her house in Tuscany. Morgan Friedman, I was just watching a documentary about him, and one of the first things he says in the documentary, I made a decision that I was going to do this, or I was going to die trying. Guys, I'm going to tell you something. I have coached people who were window washers who are now multimillionaires. I have coached people who came in as my clients with a net worth very, very, very high. Here's what I will tell you. I have never met an entrepreneur in my life who has a fear of failure. I hear all these gurus and they're talking about a fear of failure. I don't know what it is. Most entrepreneurs are like, yeah, I'll do it. I'll look a little silly. I don't care, but I'll do it. Just tell me what to do. What I find is the real killer to your success is the fear of success. That's the thing, because I think that we know in our brains and from thousands of years of training that we want to stay in the group, that there's safety in the group. Like, yeah, it might be miserable and cold and wet and damp, but there's like a certain numbers game that I'm playing by not going outside of the group. This happens with a school of fish when a fish leaves, or, of course, my best bud here, I love Scott, but with Rhinoceros Success, he knows that when you leave the safety of the herd of the cows and you go out and you bust through the fence and become a rhino, you are going to get attacked. They're not making examples of the cows in the farm. They're attacking and throwing torpedoes. And that's why you need to be a rhino and not a cow and get milked every day and have the safety of the farm and then get slaughtered. It is more dangerous in the jungle sometimes, but there's freedom in the jungle. So what I would say is, I have coached a lot of people and I've never had a student pass away. And I've had a lot of people who've said, I am going to do this or die trying. And those are the people. Morning, noon, night, OCD. When I first started, I did one of my very, very first deals. My first deal was I only made $2,000 on, and it was a crazy deal. But one of my very early, certainly my top 10, I was going out to dinner with my family. We were driving down Bethany. I got a call from a seller. I knew in my bones that this was a deal. I could just tell because I had done a handful of deals. And I'm like, this is a seller. I literally stopped the car. Julie got in the driver's seat. I ran up Bethany, went back home, got in my car. She took the kids to dinner, and I went and met with the seller that night. And if you guys are confused about that and you're like, well, Tom, what about lifestyle design and family first? No, that's not true. That is a misrepresentation. That's like the devil getting in your head. So let me explain what it is. There is a season where it is entirely appropriate to love your family by doing good work in the marketplace. If you're an entrepreneur, you don't do that forever, but there's a season of that. And if you're confused about that, Daniel Lapin, Secrets from the Bible, Business Secrets from the Bible. It is one of the best books ever written. I will say on that book, you should probably, if you're not reading every day, listen to it on Audible because it is a tough read. But Daniel Lapin, Lapin, Business Secrets from the Bible, and that will explain what Jen is referring to, which is this idea of revenue in first position. And I'm going to do this. I used to tell my students, like, pretend they got stung, if they got bit by a poisonous snake and the only antidote was getting a house under contract. I am telling you, you are so much more powerful than you think you are. When you guys, all of you, I don't care how old you are, I don't care your gender, I don't care your height, your weight, it doesn't matter. Sexual orientation, it doesn't matter, guys. I've seen people, you can't judge a book by its cover. I'm telling you, I've seen all different people and they have become successful. And it's because when you make that decision that I am going to do this or I am going to die trying, it's over, it's going to happen. But all of this like preparing and setting up and, thinking about it and then sitting in Panera Bread or Starbucks and listening to Joe and Jen's podcast, guys, reward yourself with their education. When they tell you to do something, go and do it. That's it. Just do it and do it and do it and just say, I'm going to do it, or you're going to come to my funeral. And that's it. And I'm telling you, once you make that level of a commitment, you guys are unstoppable. You're so much more handsome, beautiful, powerful, resourceful. I'm telling you, you don't even realize. I was like, for so long, I was like suffering with like paycheck to paycheck. I came home and I got lost my job. She was crying in the bathroom. I'm like, this is crazy. And finally my mentor was like, are you an idiot? Like, what are you doing? Guys, if you want to know the secret, that is the secret, is that you are way more powerful. And make sure that you're not self-sabotaging because, your dad doesn't love you, or your uncle told you were a fat kid, or that we hold on to these stories. You got to wrestle that bear every day. I'm telling you, the origin of every result that you get is a belief. It's belief leads to every emotion and thought, leads to every action you take, leads to every result you get, and then the result just confirms what you believe. And we're all on the same bear riding his back every day. I believe something is true. It leads to every emotion and thought I have. It leads to every action I take or don't take. It gives me a result, and the result's like, see, I told you I was right. And you just keep doing this all day. Guys, wrestle that bear and it's hard to stop thinking about something, but it's very easy to change a belief. You could change a belief about yourself in 2 seconds. It's not changing reality. It's what you believe about what's happening. That's the key.
Woo, making me a little teary-eyed over here.
It's true.
I know it's true. We all wrestle the bear, and the bears are all different, but they're there every day. And it doesn't matter who you're looking at out there. They have bears too. So you're not alone. And I love that you said that, like, we are powerful and more powerful than we realize.
Yeah. And it's true about rule number 2 guys, is everyone's full of poop. And these people online where you're seeing their jets and the boats and the yachts and the Lamborghinis and the guys, can I tell you something right now? Social media, if you're an entrepreneur, social media is not for consumption. You are not allowed to consume on, guys, this scrolling. No. That you do not consume. Social media is for producing. It's for publishing. It's for broadcasting. It is not for consuming. You want to talk about generational wealth? That's a big one. So we post, we don't scroll. Bam! I love that. Very cool. Yeah.
Well, I think it's true. It's because we could either spend it to be a connecting tool or a complete time suck, right? The vampire that just sucks
Yep.
all of, because you're comparing yourself against all these other people, and you'll see some 23-year-old in a private jet, and you're like, well, why isn't that me? Well, then I might as well not get started at all.
Right.
And really, the unsexy stuff that happens is between the calls. It's when you're on your own. It's picking up that phone, talking to that seller. It's all of those little things that add up, and none of the other stuff just matters. So I always say keep your blinders on, right? The horse blinders, where you're not distracted by what's going on the side of you. Just stay focused on moving forward. And I love the fact that you keep it so
Mhm.
simple, right? And I
Right.
think the point of it is because, like, what was your background before even getting into real estate?
Oh, brother. Let me just tell you right now, I live in Florida and I do not have the body type to be doing what I was doing, which was lawn care. So I'm just telling you right now, that was like me riding a mower was not a good sight. It was a mess. I was literally in lawn care. I mean, it was a nightmare. I had been fired from 5 jobs over 7 years. And then I started doing lawn care because I didn't know what else to do. And somebody was like, "Oh, if you cut lawns in Florida, you'll make money." And you could hang Christmas lights in the winter. And but then I started learning the principles of business, and now I've been able to grow, create, sell, exit from awesome. I mean, it just takes a second. It just takes 1 second. I mean, there's nothing for sale. I have nothing for sale. I'm just telling you guys, it's not. I don't know how. I wish I could like get in your brains. Anybody who's like, because I'm telling you, you just don't realize who you are and what your capability is. And there's so many stories that we use to hold ourselves back, like just these repeating stories of like who you are. I'm telling you, if I could do it, anyone. Even right now, today, right now, I'm on day 6 of a 7 day fast, right? I've been struggling with weight my whole life, right? I just put it in my head, I'm gonna do it. You just do it. Like, guys, like you are more powerful than you think. I am telling you, it's true. So I just want to encourage everybody, go out there, take massive imperfect action. You're gonna fall on your face. Anybody who doesn't support you or anybody who makes fun of you, guys, I'm gonna tell you rule number 5 in business. Rule number 5 is only take feedback from 5 people, right? Those people are the people who love you, the people who pay you, the people you pay, the people who regulate your industry, and the people who are already where you want to be. That's it. If they're not in that group, I don't care how you run your household. I'm going to tell you how I run my household. You are not pouring in to me and my wife and my children if you don't have personal experience or if you're not on that list. I don't want to hear it. I don't care. It doesn't matter. If you don't love us, pay us, we pay you, you regulate my industry, or you're already where I want to be, you ain't influencing me. That is the bottom line. So what we see is with people who struggle is they'll literally just take advice from they'll like watch something on a reel. I get sometimes it's just so funny because I'll get like and they really believe it. Like, oh, maybe I should be, if I have chest pain, I'll take a spoonful of cayenne pepper. I don't remember what the kid sent me, but I was like, what, what is happening? So anyway, guys, bottom line is follow these principles and you won't, and ultimately it'll just reduce your suffering. And life is really, really short and we're not meant to suffer. Like that's not what we're here to do. Is just like suffer. There's no, yeah, I don't know how else to say it, but all of this stuff works. These rules are simple and finite and proven and ancient and wholesome.
Well, and I applaud you for that, breaking it, making it just here. I mean, we got a packed room here in the Zoom. We've got a packed on YouTube right now, so we're live.
Bam.
And I see all the comments, and everybody is absolutely loving this.
Bam.
And I know you've worked with a ton of real estate investors. I know you've worked with a ton of coaches. I know you've worked with the coaches, like everybody involved. So here we got a lot of real estate friends of ours watching, tuning in, listening live. If I am brand new and maybe I haven't done my very first deal yet, what do you think is like the key thing to do?
Well, the first thing to do is and this was for, thank God, I had a mentor. So the first thing I did is get out of my own way. And I'm going to tell you something that is not really easy to do. The first thing that I was doing is I was collecting information. So I call this like pearls of wisdom. And I would like, this guy would say this, and then I would like, and I was building like this really weird system that was like piecemealed from multiple people on like YouTube and here and there. So I was just, I was like, or people would say stuff. I went to a RIA meeting and they would say, oh, like, don't do this, do that, and do that, and don't, and this works. And the problem is you're so new, you really like, you don't understand what's happening. So you kind of like are very susceptible to that sort of influence. And I was building this weird, I mean, it wasn't working. It was just a nightmare, right? It was like, it was a lot of work for sure, but there was no revenue. And so I would say that the reason that I am successful is because I had a mentor, but I'm also going to say this. You have to submit to a mentor. And that is hard for a lot of people to do. It's like, I think that a lot of entrepreneurial people, they have like a problem with authority, or they have some kind of a thing where they don't want to be under the mantle of somebody, right? So they don't like, they kind of resist it and fight it, and they're trying to like slide out or do it better or their way. Submitting to a mentor was one of the, thank God I did that. And he pulled me in kicking and screaming the whole time. I did not want to do it, but I was at such a low point that I had to just submit and say like, that's it. And actually it was a conversation with Julie, and I said, sweetie, like, I got to make this work or we're going to lose our house. We got to a point where we were going to lose the house. We weren't going to be able to keep paying the mortgage. So I just had to submit. And then once I submitted, there is freedom. It's funny because the things that we fight when we're not successful, we think are like keeping us in, are actually where the freedom is. There is freedom in submitting to instruction. There's freedom in boundaries. There's freedom in frugality, right? Poor people, right? They earn it, sell it, right? Earn it, like they earn it, spend it. Like their living expenses are like always like just moving up a little bit faster than their income. So there's these things that I would say is the other thing too, I would say, Joe, is this, brother. Like, let me tell you rule number 4. Never, ever, 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 ever partner when you can hire. One thing I see that kills a lot of early investors is they're like, you don't understand. This guy's like he's my friend, but my kids call him my uncle. This is something else I noticed that people who struggle do. It's like everyone's an uncle or an aunt, but it's like, this guy's he's like my brother, and my kids call him Uncle Tony, and we're going to do this together because we've been friends since high school, and I trust him and he trusts. No. I would avoid partnering. The only time I'm not against, I know a lot of people say, oh, Tom, he's like known for breaking up partnerships, which I am, and I'm happy about, because most partnerships are started on a lie of like, I know this, and I don't know what Joe knows, and Joe knows that, and he doesn't know what I know. So we're going to work together to like, have a great friendship and partnership. That is bad, bad, bad. So, and it's especially bad. Most times it's good because you won't ever make any money, and then you just go back to your job, and that's okay, right? But when you really have a problem with a partnership is when you make money. That's when the real suffering starts. You don't really see it until your wife is like, Tom, how come you're doing all the work and Joe's like sitting in Florida not doing anything? So that's what I would suggest is, number 1, don't have a partner. You don't need a partner for this. You don't need a partner to get to $40,000-$50,000 a month. If at some point you need a partner, awesome. The way you start a partnership is with starting with, here's what I'm not going to do. Every partnership has a show horse and a workhorse. And if you're on this call, you better be the show horse. And then you could just talk about, hey, this is what I'm not going to do, right? I'm not working 40 hours a week. I'm not going to do this. I'm not going to do that. You still want to partner me? And then we'll talk about how exciting this opportunity is. But those are the 2 things: is submitting to mentorship, one person, and avoiding a partner. That would be the 2 big ones that I see kind of like accelerate and the weight and the drag and the lift and the thrust. That's kind of what it looks like.
Ooh, wow. I'm glad you went there, though. I've also been sharing my thoughts on that. And it's interesting because a lot of people don't agree, but
yeah,
we are the partners and that's it. We're married. But I also find that if you bring in someone else,
that counts. That's okay.
You assume that they'll do all the work. I think that, oh, well, I'm busy with doing this, and then the other person thinks they'll do, and it just doesn't work. So like you said, it has to come from your belly. You are the one that's deciding. You're the one that's going to fight the emotions, the fears, the this and that. And like, you can't, it's not about anyone else, and I love how to go back to your family and that book you recommended. Hopefully we can catch all of those titles that you dropped, because you did, you shared so many gold pieces there. But the lifestyle, yes, it is a dream to eventually get there, but man, like the work that you do is really rewarding, especially when you yourself have helped so many sellers out of situations. And I don't know, $2,000 or $25,000 or more on some of those assignment fees is great, but helping people out of these situations for me is really what brought me really truly into this game.
Well, and I think too, as partnering goes, part of what we teach is, and what we've learned ourselves, is how to do this without partners.
Yeah.
And so when you learn how to do the right strategies, and you could build an empire, build a portfolio, do some wholesaling deals without partners, because that's what we really learned ourselves. So this is why we've only partnered with each other, and we're married. So I gotta,
well, yeah,
with the boss.
Married people are partners, guys. By the way, I'm not breaking up those kinds of partnerships. That's a different. Yeah, you're married, you're a partner, 100%.
Yeah. And it wasn't always like that in the beginning. In the beginning, it was just me.
I thought he was just crazy. Go do your real estate thing. I'm just going to be my English teacher self over here. But then he shared the vision, and then I eventually jumped on board, and here we are today. But yeah,
it's awesome. Yeah, I mean, it can make for a great life, and it's a lot of hard work, but it's super rewarding. And then eventually, it's not a lot of work. And I mean, I remember when I exited from Wholesaling Inc. and I was sitting on a rocking chair at we have a home up in the mountains, and I was sitting on a rocking chair. I was reading Jeff Olson's book, The Slight Edge, and we were supposed to be there for 3 weeks. And I'm like, on the third day, we packed the car. I was like, everybody get in the car, we're going home. I'm like, this is not happening. So I would say that it really does, you really can create, as an entrepreneur, a lifestyle if you focus on the basics right now of just doing deals. And not everybody who has a house wants to sell it, and not everybody who wants to sell it wants your deal. So this is a numbers game. You got to go again and again and again and again to the point of exhaustion. And then once you figure out that path, I mean, it's like that scene in that one movie with the golf game where he just kind of sees the path of the ball going to the green. And that is just, as you move through the stages of ownership, you move from an amateur to a professional, from, being pointed in to being pointed, like to Jen's point just a minute ago here, of being pointed out towards the seller. The most powerful people in the universe are always attracting and rejecting, and the weakest people in the universe are always chasing and convincing. So stop chasing and convincing and start attracting and rejecting, because that's where all of that's where all the harmony is. Not balance. There's no balance because there's seasons to everything. But the harmony, that's what you want. Harmony, right? There's seasons for everything. And you'll go through these. A lot of people will say, well, it's never too late, Tom. What about Colonel Sanders, selling a chicken recipe in his 70s or whatever? Yeah, awesome. If you get to your 70s and you haven't made it, let Colonel Sanders from KFC be that inspiration. But if you're not in your 70s, let Colonel Sanders be a warning, because for every Colonel Sanders that tried to sell a chicken recipe, there's 10,000 who couldn't, and they're not in great shape. So you have this hourglass here, right? That you gotta. We don't have a really long time, so I would get it done straight away, as fast as possible, and prioritize it, and then you won't have to, and then you could prioritize whatever you want, which is awesome.
Like your lemon trees, right?
Bam, easy peasy lemon squeezy.
Yeah, I got one yet. I had to get one out of you.
Yeah, easy peasy lemon squeezy. And there's a real one right out there from you guys, so I appreciate it. But yeah, it's an awesome adventure. And yeah, and then you could, I mean, I found out the other day that if you cut up an apple and put it in the center of your pineapples, all of a sudden all your pineapples start blooming these huge pineapples, right? And that worked. And I was like, that's awesome. I have the time to do that, right? So yeah, great adventure. So if you have a pineapple and you live in Florida, put an apple in the center and the pineapple will pop up in a few weeks. It's pretty cool. There you go.
Yeah, we actually have one in the back patio right now.
Yeah.
There you go. That's the trick. I learned it. It works 100%.
Oh my gosh. Well, guys, we have time for a few more minutes. Any questions for him at all regarding all of the wisdom that he's dropped? Any books that you needed renamed, or, organic leads? Again, it's about providing that messy, massive action, knowing that if you just take that leap, it's out there. You just have to go, and you can't overthink it. And I know I'm a thinker brain, but I've also learned to just just punch the gas.
Well, and I think too, when you talk about taking messy, massive action, when we first got started, I would read a few things and be like, okay, I'm going to start doing it. And I think of even when we discovered the blue ad, I was A/B testing so many different things. And
Right.
then I hit that one and I put it into 11 groups. And what I did was I put in Jen's Facebook. So I borrowed her iPad without her knowing. I posted that post into 11 groups. And then she was in the kitchen back when we lived in New York. And she was like, what did you just do? I'm like, what do you mean? Because I'm playing a video game, not paying attention. It was like an hour ago. She's like, I'm having all of these people messaging me saying they want to sell me a house. What's going on here? And I was like, oh my gosh, this worked. Like,
It
oh my gosh, to the point we had to take down the post because she was like overwhelmed. And so it was taking that messy, massive action. And then rule number 3, we started dialing in to what works.
right.
And then we started just doing that and started getting rid of all the other stuff that wasn't working. And it was dialing into a process. So all of the little ugly things that we were doing in the background, that's what got us to where we are now. But in the beginning, I honestly had zero, very, very little clue. But what we call a reptile brain, an alligator down here in Florida doesn't have to sit here and look at something like, huh, should I eat that or should I not? Like they just go into attack mode and go get it. They don't think twice about it. And so when we're doing this business, it's got to be the same thing. Just take that effort. Not every swing gets connected, but you will start connecting for sure.
Bam. And I just put, so we have 88 rules, but I put the top 10 in the chat for everybody, which by the way, has never been done. And there's, besides my immediate family, there's only you guys and 2 other people who have that list. So this is just for your audience, guys. Please don't spread it around. It's good. It's part of a published a book that's with a publisher right now that's going to be released, and it's not yet. But those are the top 10 of the 88. And guys, I'll tell you, if you take these things and stitch them into your heart, they will work. And test me on this. Make sure what you're looking for in a principle is you're always looking for the same thing. You're looking, is it always true? Because if it's not always true, dump it. Even if I suggest it, it doesn't matter. And number 2 is the inverse of the rule true, or is it as true or more true? And that's what you're looking. So is the opposite, right? So if you say, well, only take feedback from 5 people is rule number 5, or what's one that we haven't gone over is, number 6, when everyone's part-time, the project fails. I can give you 1,000 stories of amazing people who said, hey, we should all do this great thing together. And the project failed because there wasn't one person who was full-time, 100% committed to that project working. So check out the rules. And and I saw Lisa said, what's A/B split testing? Lisa, A/B split testing just means that you have one particular called let's not use more vernacular here, high vocabulary. It just means that you have like in this case, a post, and then you just take that post and then you change one little thing about it and you put it in a different group and you just see which one does better. So you're constantly, but I would suggest don't do A/B split testing until you get at least 3 deals. So no A/B split testing until you get 3 deals, just to be clear. But it just means you change one little thing.
And good news is we've already done that for you. So when you use our blue post,
That's right.
just use that. And guys, it works and it's free and it doesn't cost any money and it works. Here's where it doesn't work. When you change it, that's when it doesn't work. Okay. I hear it all the time. Joe, this doesn't work. And I'm like, well, show me the example. And I look like, well, it's all changed. It's different. That's why. Go back to what works, rule 3. And next thing you know, it works too. So that's wonderful. And you've got a book coming out, Tom. What is that about?
Oh, there's 2 of them coming out, and it is about just basically creating a business that serves you instead of a job that you serve. And one of them is for coaches, and one of them is just general principles in business. And and none of it's for me. It all comes from Viktor Frankl, Daniel Lapin, Scott Alexander, Ryan Holiday, Robert Greene, the 48 Laws of Power. Rule number 1, never outshine the master. That's a big one. So it comes from, all of the best authors and my mentors, other people, Kiyosaki. That it's great to distill these things down. It's basically a compass. Hey, what should I do? Look at the compass. Tell you every time. It'll never let you down.
That's why we're big proponents of having a mentor who's actually still doing the things that they're teaching and preaching and actively, participating in everything. It's truly inspiring. I know that everybody here has just gotten so much gold from you today. It's recorded. I know he goes fast. I know I was impressed with some of the notes that you guys took. So thank you so much, Tom. You are such an inspiration to all of us here, and so thankful that you took your time out of your busy day. And Thank you. I just couldn't say that enough.
You can see why everybody loves Tom. Like why everybody loves Tom. You
Everybody.
can clearly see why not only is he amazing, but has so much knowledge and know-how and experience. And that's why he's the absolute best. So we're so happy and honored that you've been here today, Tom. And thank you. We can't thank you
Biggest
enough.
go-giver.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Thank you guys. That's awesome. It's good to see you. I'm out of here. Enjoy the day. We'll see. Luna knows when the call is done. She gets up. That's how well trained she is. Bam. All right, guys. Enjoy the day. God bless. Be well. We'll see everybody later. Bye, guys.
So much.
Oh man, look at all that. Yes. Thank you all for sharing your love there. Woo! Do you see what we are talking about though? He comes in an hour, like, and I've heard most of what he's said probably like 50 times, and I still like pick up one more thing. And it's just that repetitive daily pouring into us that I think that all of us need, right? Because obviously Tom can't be in our ears all day, every day, but man, I know that was so helpful.